What's up, horror lovers? Welcome back to my channel. Before we dive into today's absolutely spine-chilling story, make sure you smash that subscribe button and hit that notification bell because trust me, the stories I've got coming up will mess with your head for days. So guys, many of you probably have the habit of waking up early in the morning. A lot of people call those early hours the witching hour. That time around 3:30 a.m. People love waking up super early, and some call it the holy hour or whatever. I remember hearing as a kid that spirits are weakest at 3:30 p.m. in the afternoon, but at 3:30 a.m., that's when they're at their strongest. You can't fight them. If you encounter them at 3:30 in the morning, you're screwed. Well, around that same time, 3:30 a.m., there's a spirit that wanders around one of our country's most famous bridges. I'm talking about the Brooklyn Bridge in New York City. Now, people believe in this stuff, but there was this guy named Andy who lived there, and he didn't believe in any of it. Although, his reality is a little different now. One night, he decided he needed to know the truth, and he went there that night. He thought he was going to change history, but here's the thing, he ended up becoming part of that history himself. Overnight, this dude had to leave the city he'd lived in his whole life. What could have happened to a person that would make them abandon the place they called home since childhood in the middle of the night? What level of haunting would it take? Even he got scared of these things, of the spirit world. His sleep was ruined for weeks. But now it's your turn to hear this story. Before we start this video, let me tell you what Andy used to think about all this stuff. All this ghost and spirit nonsense is complete BS. These ghost stories and rumors are spread by drug addicts who want to use some secret spot to get high. They spread these scary stories so no one comes around because of fear, and they can just sit there and do drugs in peace. That's what Andy believed, which is why he couldn't trust any of this supernatural stuff. Andy and his family had been living in Brooklyn for years. Along with Andy, tons of people knew that the Brooklyn Bridge was supposedly super dangerous, haunted, cursed, all that stuff. Everyone knew about these rumors, but Andy knew about them too, and he just didn't believe them at all. He always used to say, "I don't believe in any of this crap. I bet there are just some addicts hanging around there spreading all these rumors, and someday I'm going to prove it. I'm going to go there myself in the middle of the night and prove that place isn't haunted at all, and that normal people can go there just fine." This stuff was always running through his mind. At that time, he had this friend named Steve, and Steve was with Andy and everything, like they were best friends. So one day, Steve called him up and said, "Andy, you've wanted to learn wrestling for the longest time, right? Well, your boy Steve has hooked you up completely. I've got the full setup for you. So are you going to start this wrestling thing you've been talking about for years? You have to start now." Andy got super excited and happy. He said, "Yeah, man, I definitely want to do it, but where is it?" Steve said, "Dude, you know the Brooklyn Bridge? Right underneath it, there's water, and I know right next to that is where this wrestling training happens. You'll have to go there." Andy said, "All right, what time?" Steve said, "Bro, exactly 3:30. Miss Sophia will teach you wrestling there." Andy said, "Dude, won't it be too hot at 3:30? Steve said, "Man, I'm not talking about 3:30 in the afternoon. I'm talking about 3:30 in the morning." Steve continued, "Actually, that's just the pattern, the tradition. When you learn wrestling, when you start it, you always begin during the holy hour." Andy was a little worried because he wasn't used to waking up that early. And this wasn't even really morning 3:30 a.m. For normal people, morning is like 6, 7, 8, 9 a.m. But this was 3:30 a.m. But he was still excited because for years and years, this had been his wish to learn wrestling to feel powerful. So he said, "I'll go. No problem. I can handle it." Steve gave him the instructor's number to Ms. Sophia's number. Andy said, "All right." So he woke up early at 3:30 a.m., got on his motorcycle and started heading out. But while this was morning for Andy, for everyone else it was the middle of the night. Everyone was sleeping. There were hardly any people on the roads. Basically nobody. Driving along, he reached the Brooklyn Bridge area. He could see stairs going down, and right next to those stairs, there was an old man sitting there drinking alcohol. He ignored the guy and started going down the stairs. But then the old man said something. "Whatever happens, never looked directly into her eyes. Andy turned around, and there was nobody behind him, just an empty bottle of liquor sitting there. The man he had just seen 2 seconds ago was nowhere to be found. Andy thought, maybe I just woke up, so I might be hearing and seeing things. Whatever, no big deal. He ignored everything and went down the stairs. After going down, he looked around thinking, there's supposed to be a wrestling gym here. There's supposed to be a woman here who's going to teach me. But nobody was there. None of the things Steve had told him existed here. Nobody was around. It's 3:30 a.m. The holy hour has started. So where are the people? Steve definitely pranked me. He immediately called Steve. After calling, he saw that Steve wasn't picking up. Maybe he's sleeping, but he totally pranked me. Whatever, he's my friend. He started to leave, but then he heard a sound from the water, like someone had thrown a stone. He turned around and saw a woman standing at some distance, throwing stones into the water really hard. He thought, maybe this is another woman Steve called to prank me. He went a little closer to the woman and said, did Steve call you too? The woman said, Steve? Yeah, Steve. He called me too. Absolutely. Very mischievous boy he is. Very mischievous boy. Andy found this a little weird. He asked another question. Do you want to learn wrestling too? The woman said, wrestling? Yeah, wrestling. No, I don't want to learn it. I want to teach it. That's all she said. And then she went back to staring at that pond or whatever water was there. Andy said, I was sent to you. Your name is Sophia, right? She said, Sophia? Yeah, my name is Sophia. Andy said, if you're the one who's going to teach me wrestling, then let's start. She said, yeah, let's start. So they started doing stretching and warm-ups. Andy was feeling really weird because nobody else was around. Like, if Steve had chosen some place for him, some gym, then of course there would be lots of people there. The holy hour had already passed, they were doing stretching here, and this woman was also kind of strange. Every question I ask her, she's giving me the answer I want to hear, or she's just repeating what's already in my question. This is really weird. I shouldn't be here at all. I'm getting really irritated. And this woman isn't even talking properly. Andy said, my stretching is done. What do we do now? The woman said, now go into this water that you can see. Andy said, but what does this have to do with wrestling? The woman said, if you don't go into the water, how will you save? Andy said, what are you talking about? I don't understand anything. Since I got here, you've been acting weird. First you weren't talking, now you're saying all this crazy stuff. I shouldn't be here at all. I need to get out of here. Andy said, I'm leaving now. Just then, Andy got a call. He checked his phone, it was Steve calling. Andy answered angrily, Steve, what is all this, man? This woman you sent me to, she's not teaching anything properly. She's saying all kinds of crazy stuff. First she wasn't talking at all, now she's acting super weird. This isn't good at all. You played a really bad joke on me. For a moment, Steve didn't say anything. Then Steve said, what are you talking about? I have no idea. I just got a call from the instructor. I forgot to tell you. The instructor said all sessions are canceled for today. We'll start tomorrow from the holy hour. But who are you with right now? What instructor are you talking about? Who's teaching you what? At that moment, Andy went completely quiet. He turned around and looked. The woman was still standing there, facing the water. She looked kind of sad. She had gone quiet. It was pretty dark too. He slowly, with light steps, walked closer to her. He put his hand on her shoulder and said, who are you? What are you doing here? The woman turned around and showed her face. There was a face, but there were no eyes. Blood was flowing from her eye sockets like tears. Andy started shaking. He was thinking, who am I standing with here in the middle of the night? Then the woman pointed toward the water with her finger and said, go into the water, right now, and go save me. Andy looked toward the water, and from inside the water, a hand was coming out. It looked like that hand, or whoever's body was below it, was calling him to come into the water and join them. Andy didn't know why, but after looking into her eyes, he started feeling a little hypnotized. like he was lost in something. He started walking slowly toward that water, toward that hand. That hand was in the water. All of a sudden, he realized that someone behind him was calling his name, and he remembered that this was the voice of the old man he had met at the very beginning. Andy realized that he was halfway into the water. He gathered courage and looked behind him, and saw that the woman who had been with him all this time wasn't standing there anymore. She wasn't there at all. 10 seconds ago she was in front of him. Now she wasn't there. Just an old man was there, running toward him. This was the same old man from before. Andy had come to his senses now. He was trying to get out of the water, but it felt like someone inside the water had grabbed his leg really tight and wasn't letting him get out. Somehow, the old man pulled him out and brought him to his senses, saying, "I told you not to look into her eyes, didn't I?" Then the old man said, "Son, pay attention to what I told you, what I said. Because many people come here to learn wrestling during this so-called holy hour thing at 3:30 a.m. They come here to learn something. Many people do learn, but some people are called at times when nobody is actually here, and that time belongs to the spirits. A woman appears here to people, and you shouldn't look into her eyes. She deliberately wants to throw people toward that water to save her own life. But that woman isn't even alive anymore. Only her corpse floats around in that water, and people sometimes try to dive into that water, but they just end up becoming another corpse for next time. Remember this for next time. Don't look into that woman's eyes." This incident had happened to Andy in such a way that he felt like it would cost him his life. This was a life or death situation. "I'm not going to stay in this city. Who knows how far the spirit will follow me." For a whole week after this, Andy kept experiencing these same things. After going home, he started seeing the same things. This was happening, that was happening. Then he thought, there's no point in staying here, and he took his family and left the city. At the end of this video, I just want to tell you this. It's possible that even today, underneath the Brooklyn Bridge, that same woman is still wandering around. Even today, she might be making some new person her victim, throwing them toward that water and turning them into a corpse. But I want to warn you about one thing. Whenever you find yourself in any deserted place, if you feel like, I'm in this deserted place, don't trust any person. Because ghosts and spirits also look like humans. They just aren't alive. They just want to include you in their world. Remember this. Stay alert about these things. Thanks for watching.